Hello, my name is Adolfo, and this is Life of Adolfo. On today's topic is something that was said to my kid or to me of my child. And first, my parents are Mexican, so you can understand. My wife is Filipina. But first, I'm going to go do a background to lead to this. It's not to lead, it's of things that I kept on seeing after they were mentioned. And I remember once I was talking to this female, and this female said, "You have a nice nose." And for me, of course, the female is Filipino. And for me, I'm like, she's just trying to say something nice about me, but there's not a lot of things nice to say of my features and so on. In addition, my nose, I have a little dent here because of the glasses. As you can see, glasses here. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. But then after she said that, I did start thinking of Filipinos. Why? Because I noticed also her nose is a little bit different. And I started thinking, since I was on prior military, and there's a lot of Filipinos there in the U.S. military. So I started thinking of certain individuals that I met throughout my time there. The second, I don't want to say second time, but the actual time I was trying to get my PSA for my son so he could get a U.S. passport. And I was in City House, Cebu City House. On the City House, I need to jog a little bit because I'm trying to cross the street and it's 23 seconds and then I'll continue. I think I could make it because then I won't be able to make it for a long time because sometimes these lights take like 90 seconds to cross. Hold on. Thank you. And the sidewalk here is not the greatest. So I have to go through the street. They're not the greatest because they go up and down. And anyways, back to the main subject. So I was getting it's called I believe it's called Certified Birth Certificate. And I was trying to get it. And this lady, because you can also get PSA there, but it takes a little bit longer process. I was talking to her and she said that she was going to Australia, that somebody sponsored her. And she looked at my baby and she said, "Oh, your baby looks just like you." And then she said, "But that Filipino nose." That's the first time I heard that. The Filipino nose, the way she said it. Probably the only time I heard it. But of course you start thinking of it because I heard about it, but not directly. How about that? And she said something in the words of, "But that Filipino nose will always be inherited." And once again, I started thinking, my wife has, now to cover this, not all Filipinos have this nose, but my wife has it. And the reason I wanted to bring this video up is because my baby has a cousin, maybe 2-3 years older, and niece of my wife. And one time I saw her hold his nose, not poke, push his nose. And I'm not gonna lie, I got mad. Why did I get mad? For people that never have one or the other nose, well, you have one or the other, but you didn't have the other, or you never touched it or seen it or touched it. When I touch my wife's nose, you could push in. You could push in. It's like, I don't want to say jello because jello's cold, but if you push jello, you could see like it's pushing in and there's no resistance. On my nose, if you touch it, you could feel the bone right there. You could feel the bone. And even though the lady that was going to Australia said that he has a Filipino nose, which I kind of don't agree because he's still a baby. I'm very precautious of somebody pressing his nose because if he has a nose like me, you're damaging the inside. And she likes pressing it. Maybe because it doesn't look like furs or, well, I think she has because she has a little nose, but she's still a baby or a child. 3 years old, I believe so. But it gets me, it got me mad that she did it. I don't agree with it. I know it's a child, but it's still, there's discipline afterwards, or try to let him know that don't do it because if he's still a baby, at that time he was like 7 months old when she did it. And of course I didn't like it. Kind of cross this pedestrian walk. But that's one of the differences on the nose. And yes, I heard that other Filipinos talk about the nose. Not me. I'm just the messenger, so don't get mad at the messenger. And other cultures, I don't want to call it insecurity, but some cultures, you could see some insecurity of not everybody, but certain individuals in that culture. For example, you could tell that in Japan and also Korea most definitely, that they like to be light skinned. Like I said, not everybody, but there's a majority. In Japan, you can see when there's a big infrastructure, even though it's a big sidewalk, they'll stay near the infrastructure, try to get the shade. Try to be in the shade, even though it's not hot. And another insecurity that I kind of see, and I don't want to say it's insecurity, it's probably a trend. Hold on. It's probably a trend of high shoes in Japan. Females, I'm not sure if they feel like they're short. In Korea, you see the patches, but I kind of noticed that there is surgery, a lot of surgery, including the nose. And of course, trying to be light skinned. You could look, you could come here and, cause I'm here in Cebu, Philippines, you could see the aisle soap and everything. And it says for light skin, try to get light skin. And I also noticed it in Indonesia, in Bali, not all Indonesia, but in Bali precisely. I noticed that there's always a leak in this area. And I slip out constantly. So I gotta be careful. But I heard it also here in the Philippines about the nose. Those are two. I also heard it when I was in the military a little bit, but I never heard the Filipino nose, like I said. And for my child, I don't think he has it, but I touched it yesterday, by the way. But I didn't want to press, so I don't know. Like in my wife, I press it, it goes all the way in. Not all the way in, but there's no resistance. That's what I'm basically saying. But anyways, that's all I got. Just don't be insecure, whatever features you have. For me and my family. And by the way, in Mexico, these statues, these stone heads of the Olmecs or Olmecas. If you look at them, they have the same notes. That at some point they were saying that that there was black people in the past in Mexico because they look like them with the nose and so on. But in reality, it's indigenous from Mexico the way they used to look. We have to remember it's a mixing pot gradually in every country. For example, here in the Philippines, there's some Korean blood coming in, Japan blood, maybe some Middle Eastern by all the individuals coming here. Spaniard, and of course, believe it or not, I believe there's also Mexican. Why? Because when Legazpi came over here, he actually brought warriors from Tlaxcalan warriors. The Tlaxcalan warriors were a group of individuals in Mexico that were loyal to the Spaniards, which is nothing against it. Since for me, in my view, Spain actually united so many countries as it is right now. Philippines, they united it. You could hate them here, but they united it. We could hate them in Mexico, but they united Mexico. That's just the truth. But anyways, that's all I got. Don't be embarrassed in Mexico, like I said. If you look at the indigenous, some of them also have those features. Almost similar. The only difference is they speak indigenous or Spanish. Okay, have a good day. This is not a stereotype type of video. It's just sharing something and being precautious if you have a kid with someone abroad of the nose, since it's fragile. As a younger, if somebody's present.